another Thank God Friday to the start of the weekend. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I'm Grace Abaragu. It's the 9th of January. This is your Money Moves.
All right, let's begin with your news now. Commodities giant Rio Tinto is in talks to buy rival miner Glencore in a potential all-share deal that would create the world's largest mining company with a combined market value of more than $200 billion. The discussions, which could involve some or all of both companies' businesses, comes just over a year after earlier merger talks between the two miners collapsed. In Uganda, the Ministry of Finance today held a press briefing to present the quarter 3 results for full year 2025/2026, providing insights into the current state of the Ugandan economy. Here are excerpts.
Uganda's economy continues to exhibit impressive performance and resilience amidst changes in the global environment, but also the election year business cycle. Despite this, our economy is still performing very well. In particular, I will cite the following numbers. GDP has continued to grow very well. As we have told you before, the GDP grew by 6.3% last financial year, which ended in June 2025, and is now projected that it's going to grow between 6.5 and 7% this financial year, 25-26. And then into double digit, we are projected to experience double digit growth of our economy in the medium term, within the coming 3 to 5 years. As a result, the size of the economy is projected to increase to US$ 68.
In Zimbabwe, the nation recorded a trade surplus of $90.5 million in November 2025, more than tripling October's $28.7 million as exports edged higher and imports fell. Exports reached $1.046 billion, led by semi-manufactured gold, tobacco, and nickel mats, while imports dropped 5.7% to $955.8 million, with lower purchases of mineral fuels, machinery, cereals, and fertilizers. The United Arab Emirates was Zimbabwe's largest export market, accounting for 44.4% of total exports, followed by South Africa with 21.8% and China with 21.2%. Meanwhile, Cameroon has expanded its tax base under the 2026 finance law by bringing informal real estate promoters known as the Mashers into the VAT net. The measure, aimed at boosting non-oil revenue, will see informal promoters treated as real estate professionals for VAT purposes, Finance Minister Louis Paul Mutaze said in a circular signed December 31, 2025. In other news, in a panel discussion of Africa's venture capital ecosystem, industry leaders explored whether African VC is broken or simply in an early evolving stage. The discussion focused on realities around exits, capital efficiency, development finance institutions, local capital, secondary markets, and what sustainable success looks like for startups and funds across the continent. Let's take a listen.
We need to decide whether we want Africa to be part of the global ecosystem or not. I mean, if we decide not, well, then that's a decision. That's okay. But if we want it to be, then we need to kind of go and understand what is the narrative that we want to kind of go and play there. So, and I think that's, for me, a very interesting one. I was at a presentation the day before I came here about investing in Africa, and it was very interesting how people were speaking about that, but I think we might get to that later. The second one that I really try to kind of go and figure out is this whole thing about we are early. I mean, venture capital globally is not in an amazing space. A lot of people globally say that VC is broken. So if we are 6 months behind every trend, are we just going to be 6 months behind getting into a broken thing? So, or are we actually doing what Africa has done quite often, and that's leapfrogging and coming up with something different? So I just want to kind of go and put those kind of points out. A, do we want to be part of the global ecosystem or not? And B, well, if globally there's a big question mark behind venture capital, well, following the same path might actually not be the right thing at all.
In other news, Crédit du Sahel has signed a partnership agreement with the National Confederation of Cotton Producers of Cameroon, CNPCC, to deepen financial inclusion in the agricultural sector. Formalized in Garoua, the deal builds on a decade-long collaboration and aims to bring thousands of cotton farmers into the formal banking system. In Morocco, the Commercial Court of Casablanca has ordered the Moroccan Bank for Trade and Industry, or BMCI, to pay nearly 48.5 million dirhams to Abrun Gold TV Sat, closing a long-running legal dispute over banking liability. The ruling, issued on 18 December, holds BMCI civilly responsible for mismanagement of commercial instruments. It includes 36.9 million dirhams for unpaid bills of exchange and 11.6 million dirhams in damages, with the bank also ordered to cover legal costs. Judges found BMCI failed to properly process and return certain commercial documents, worsening the company's financial position. Finally, on news now, at the 2025 African Securities Exchange Association Conference, a key session highlighted the potential of Africa's commodities and derivatives markets, exploring how agriculture, energy, and mineral assets can be leveraged to drive investment, liquidity, and financial innovation across the continent. Let's listen to some excerpts.
We come from agricultural countries. I come from an agricultural country, and in several years and in every year we see small farmers at harvesting time, they just drop the harvest because simply the price went down. The farming cycle takes around 4 to 5 months, so they actually do the investment at day zero at the hope that by harvesting their crops, they will have a decent price to sell their commodities. In many instances, especially in agricultural products, that is not the case. So this discussion may seem that we're diverting from the bread and butter of exchanges and what we're actually trying to do, but bear with me this. Sometimes we need to derive away from what we actually do to develop business for our own exchanges. And so the main aim of this discussion is how to create proper securities to be traded on our exchanges via derivatives products. In order to think into derivatives products, you need to look into the underlying asset. So the underlying asset is an agricultural product. So you need to look into the spot market of the agricultural product itself or the commodity itself. So in many instances, spot markets are very unorganized. It's left for the small players, the traders. Traders have vested interest not to declare the prices, or to manipulate prices, or to create monopolistic actions in their markets. It all affects.
I am Melissa Enoch, and that's it on News Now this Friday. The show returns shortly with Grace giving us our markets round just after the break. Stick around.
we are, as you know, we are Pan-African. It's in our DNA, it's the DNA of householding of our parent group. And our investment thesis is even named after Africa, Africa capitalism. But you know, I can't talk about deals or things that are in motion. I think what I can tell you is that the way we have come today to make an announcement on the second pillar, on flares elimination, I think let's watch this space. We think we would have some announcements to make on the third pillar in the coming months, year 2026. And then for Africa, I think that I have to say, wait, you'll be one of the very first to know. But you should know that we are very active. We've met in a number of the locations in Africa as we are trying to play out and build our Africa playbook. But take that aside, we are looking, and this today is just an indication that we are looking to be impactful in energy, in Nigeria and in Africa.
Welcome back to Money Moves. Let's now go over to Grace for today's reviews on how the markets wrapped up. Hello there again, Grace.
Melissa, let's now take a look at how the markets wrapped trading for the week. Starting off with the equities as usual. The Nigerian Stock Exchange extended its rally by 0.93% to 162,298.08, while the BRVM eased 0.08% to 343.33. The Nairobi Securities Exchange slipped 0.11% to 191.87. In South Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange added 1.12% and Morocco's MASI rose 0.28%. Let's do a quick round on some of the Pan-African currencies. The rand weakened 0.33% to 16.58 against the US dollar. The Egyptian pound eased 0.10% to 47.23, while the CFA franc strengthened 0.51% to 563.36. The Kenyan shilling inched up 0.01%. The Moroccan dirham gained 0.19% to 9.24, while the Naira rose 0.13% to 1,424 Naira 27 kobo as at 13:26 GMT. Now let's switch into the commodities data deck, beginning with energy prices. Brent crude rose 0.71% to $62.43, and US WTI advanced 0.73% to $58.18. Natural gas gained 0.70% to $3.43, while Arabian gasoline climbed 0.93% to $1.77 as at 13:19 GMT. Now finally, two soft prices. Cocoa slipped 0.07% to $6,073, and coffee fell 1.28% to $367.60. Cotton was marginally lower by 0.05%. Palm oil declined 1.15% to $969.68, and sugar eased 0.080% to $14.85 as at 13:22 GMT. And that's our Money Moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you very much for those market updates. And that's it on today's edition of Money Moves. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching and do have a wonderful weekend.